Hey folks, this is Rebecca Lane with your public speaking campus class, and I want to talk you through the narrative presentation. Sometimes in lecture, it's easy to misunderstand. It's easy to misunderstand an assignment, or a lot of times, it's actually very nice to be able to get a head start on the assignments that you're going to be expected to do. So this video hopefully gives you an opportunity to understand my personal perspective on the presentation, and also to help you prepare in advance if you so choose, and to clear up any questions. All right, so the first thing that you're going to see is right here, step 1. Please download the assignment sheets for the narrative speech and read it carefully. So please don't wait until the end of week 1 to download this and read through it. This is something that really is going to take some time to cook. And the speech is based on your own personal story, so you may want to give this some reflection. We will actually start working on this presentation in class on day 2, so it's going to be important, if you want to be proactive and work on it ahead of time, that you start to think about it as early as day 1 of class. All right, so you'll see this speech is going to be built directly on the content that we complete in day 2. We're going to do a lot of brainstorming in day 2. We're going to go through a lot of activities, but these activities go by very, very fast. So in order to, if you are one of those people who prefers to take time to contemplate things, this is something that you're going to want to do ahead of time. Now, what you will do is you're going to add all of the content developed in class to your narrative outline worksheet. Now, this outline worksheet is available for download right here. We're going to look at that in just a second. But please know that the work that you do on day 2 in class, all of that brainstorming work, I expect to see in some form or another in this narrative outline worksheet. The speech that you deliver on the very first day of week 2 will be based on this narrative outline worksheet. So in this class, we are not writing out speeches verbatim. You're not writing essays. You are writing speech outlines. The expectation in that is when you write an outline, you do not speak verbatim what you have written. You're not memorizing things, but you are learning your stories and trying to follow a structure that you've set up ahead of time. And so that's why we were working from outlines. So step number 1, be aware of this assignment, read through it, come to class on day 2 ready to brainstorm, or brainstorm ahead of time and then continue to participate in class, and then add all of this content development to your narrative outline. Step 1. Step number 2. We are going to watch this video in class, Mark Bezos, but sometimes I know that it helps to watch things before class happens or watch things after class happens, and so this is a resource that is really simply available to you. The reason I'm including Mark Bezos' speech is that he has developed a very engaging narrative speech that uses a lot of the vocabulary words we're going to talk about in day 2, and he utilizes these vocabulary words, these techniques, these tactics, really effectively. And when he utilizes those effectively, what I'm hoping is that you can also utilize those effectively, and this is a really good example to work towards. So make sure that you watch this, and this is something that you can actually choose to emulate, right? So step number 3 for the narrative presentation. After you have presented the speech in class, in order to get full credit for all of this, you are going to want to upload this speech to FSO. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I'm asking you to upload your speech to FSO. The first reason is if I miss something in class, this gives me an opportunity to go back and look at your video and review what you completed. And so this helps me make sure that your grade is exactly what I want it to be. This does a second thing for you as a student. This serves as an opportunity to protect you. If at any point you are concerned about the grade that I gave you, like if in future speeches, you're going to have an opportunity to cite sources. So if you feel that you cited sources and I did not give you credit for that, you have an opportunity to go back and watch your video and document the moments where you believe I might have missed something. And this is a really great opportunity because you can look at these moments where you believe that I might have missed something, and then if you bring your case to me and then I agree with you, then we have an opportunity to have that conversation, and sometimes I have even been known to bump up students' grades based on really amazing arguments. So keep this in mind. This is for my help and also for your protection. Okay, so that is the general overview of this speech. Let's take a look at the actual speech assignment, and I have that down here. So if you click on that link, this is what you're going to see. So here's the topic. You are going to share a story that illustrates one of your key values, right here. So in class, we are going to identify one of your key values through a brainstorming exercise. That brainstorming exercise that we will do is you are going to brainstorm adjectives that you believe describe you in the workforce. Now, the reason I am tying this to the workforce is because here at Full Sail, we are trying to train you to be professionals within your craft. That is the goal. This is a technical school. And so every class that you take is geared towards getting you that job, getting you that gig, getting you that contract that you are hoping to get. One of the very first ways that you will start to do this is you will start to pitch yourself. So this is an opportunity to start saying nice things about you. And it will be based on making a claim about you, and after that, giving me a story, a real-life moment in your personal life that shows that claim in action. So for example, if I claim that I am very creative, I would tell you about a moment in my life where I actually had the opportunity to be creative, and then the result was kind of awesome. Okay? So the length is 2 to 3 minutes. This is the shortest speech you're going to give in this class. It's a story. It's a personal story. Take a look at Mark Bezos. You'll see that he makes a thesis, he gives us a story, and then he wraps it up in a nice little bow. And that is what I am expecting you to do. It's a really short speech. It is 15% of your grade, though. So what that means is that the work that we do on audience analysis, the work that we do on developing your own personal style, using narrative, using vivid language, using concrete language, you're going to want to make sure you include those in your story. And you're going to want to make sure that you practice. So that delivery workshop that we do on the 3rd day of week 1, that is an opportunity for you to practice the kinds of skills that I am hoping to see when you present the speech. So make sure you use that to your advantage. The nice thing about the speech is that the source is personal experience, so hopefully you are going to choose a story that you've probably told people about before, maybe in long form, maybe in a shorter form, but it's a story that you already know. It's something that you've experienced, so you don't have to do a lot of external research. Now, on the grander scheme, the purpose of this speech is to allow you to exercise using a story as a tool to make a larger point. So, like I said right up here, you are going to make a claim about yourself, and then you are going to support that claim with a story of that claim acting itself out in real life. So you are using a story as a tool to make a larger point. This tactic is something that I expect you to use in your industry professional speech, and it's also something I expect you to use in your persuasive speech. So this is just a small component of what you will be using regularly in the speeches you develop in this class. And the final purpose of this is the very first speech you're going to deliver. We will be doing some reflection on the speech, and this is going to serve as your baseline. This is your opportunity to grow from. So start to develop what your goals are in this class. Start to develop where you would like to grow personally, and really start to make those goals. So let's take a look at this assignment description. As a professional in the entertainment industry, you are constantly going to be asked to explain who you are and why you do what you do. And the way that you are answering this is going to determine what kind of people you work with and what kind of jobs that you are selected for, what jobs you get. So hopefully this is a story that you can repurpose for job interviews, for creative project pitches. These are stories that you're not necessarily bragging, but you're saying, hey, this is something that I am, and here is a moment where I actually did it. So I'm not making this up. Let's look at a specific moment where this came into play. So like if I say, hey, look, I'm creative, and then I give you the story, which shows me, no, for realsies, I can be creative. And this is the kind of situation where I'm creative in. So what kind of a narrative? Here's the deal. You're telling a story about yourself. So you're including your thoughts, you're including your feelings and ideas and views and opinions. All of these things are going to add up into this story about you. So as you are choosing a story, you want to make sure that you're reflecting on your own personal values. Now you are going to build a 3-part narrative. Now we're going to cover this in class, but that 3-part narrative, what I am expecting is I'm expecting you to describe normal world. You'll see that in the outline. I'm expecting you to describe a conflict or an event that changed things. And the reason you are describing that conflict or that changing event is because you are going to explain a moment where you reacted using one of those adjectives that you have brainstormed already. Those adjectives that describe you, you are showing yourself in action. So part number 1 of this 3-part story, normal world. I was working at Home Depot. What is a normal day at Home Depot? Well, I got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I said hi to Joe. Joe was my best friend, and Joe and I used to work the tractor together. I got a cup of coffee, and I went onto the floor. Okay, normal world. On this particular day, Joe happened to forget to look at the inventory list. And so what happened is we did not have enough staplers for all of the people who needed staplers. Okay, so there's the conflict, you see? So we didn't have enough staplers. To make this even worse, the boss, the corporate boss happened to be at our store. So I decided to solve this problem creatively. So this is part number 3. I'm deciding to be creative. I told you I was creative. Now I'm deciding to be creative. And so how do you react to solve that problem? So it doesn't have to be Shakespeare. I'm not looking for anything that is super duper storytelling, but what I'm really looking for is something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, a normal world, a conflict, and something that makes you look kind of cool, something that shows you in action. And then finally, you're going to conclude your speech by reminding us of that purpose. So as you can see, if I am given an opportunity of pressure, I can be incredibly creative. And it's not just with staplers at Home Depot. This also applies to developing work with an artist in the studio. So hopefully this is a story that you can use to illustrate your work ethic and how you work as a person. So what process should you follow? The class activities we do in day 2 are the activities I expect you to follow. Now, if you would like to work on this ahead of time, the information that is available in the reading assignments in this video, right here, this video talks you through what's going to happen in this lecture. Plus, it gives you some information that I don't actually cover in the lecture. So go ahead and watch this video if you want to get a head start. And this is going to help you prepare for that assignment, for this narrative speech. Okay. So next I want to talk about I think we're good. So that is your narrative speech. Next, I want to talk about that outline. You are going to see this outline right here. Now, introductions and conclusions. If you look at this, the class calendar, you will see that we are covering introductions and conclusions on day 3 of week 1. You will also notice that your outline is due on day 3 at the very beginning of class on week 1. There is a bit of a disconnect in the schedule, and that's okay. What I'm hoping you will do is you will go ahead and write this. Do your best to write this. And go ahead and read this information in the textbook. Try to apply it. So when we cover it in class, you will have started to work on it, and you can adjust your understanding so that it actually, so that you can cover this clearly. Connect with audience. I am not as worried about for this speech. Preview statement. I am not as worried about for this speech. I'll be worried about it in your industry professional speech. I'll be very worried about it in your persuasive speech. But for the narrative speech, I want you to know what these are. I want you to try to do them. However, I'm not going to be as worried about these. I am incredibly interested in the way you craft your thesis and in the way you craft your open with impact. So really pay special attention to those. In class on day 2, we will be working on this part of the outline. The first proof, second proof, third proof, main point 1, main point 2, main point 3. Now, for the narrative speech, this is establishing the situation. What is normal for you in this story? When we're looking at, so this goes back to the normal day at Home Depot, right? I arrive at 7 a.m., I talk to Joe, Joe's my best friend. Supporting point number 1. So what I mean with these subpoints is that in class, we're going to talk about using concise language, we're going to talk about using concrete language, we're going to talk about using metaphors and similes and vivid language, and I want you to use these subpoints to remind yourself of those moments where you are using one of those tactics. Another thing, whenever you are developing main points, this needs to be only one single sentence. It needs to be at least one sentence, but no more than one sentence. So really make sure you're crafting each of your main point titles very carefully. So you'll see main point 2, just like we talked about earlier in this video. Main point 2, this is all about what shifted. What was the conflict that you were, the conflict or the question that you were confronted with? What did you have to solve? What changed? And again, the subpoints. These are opportunities that you want to make sure, details you want to make sure you include about the story, about the people around you. And main point number 3. How was the situation resolved? What did you do? So if you said that you were creative, what did you do specifically that was creative? What did you do that solved the problem? And then once you solved the problem, once you addressed the conflict or the question, what happened? Were people happy? Were people sad? Did it work out for you? Things like that. Now, in your conclusion, this is all about reminding us why you were talking. So you're going to go all the way back up here to your thesis, and you're going to want to make sure that you say that again. You're also going to want to go all the way back to your open with impact and try to tie this in at the end as well as at the beginning. So where can you bring things full circle? Where can you add that repetition? We're going to talk a lot about repetition in day 2. And repetition is something I expect to hear the entire class. Okay, so that is the expectation for the narrative speech. If you have questions, let me know. I would love to talk to you about this speech. This is one of my favorite speeches. And I really feel that it helps prepare you for pitching yourself in the real world. So let me know how I can help on this. All right, I look forward to seeing you in class, and I think this is going to be an awesome speech. I'll talk to you soon.